What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. So, the other day I was thinking, it's been a really long time since I've done a Q&A type video. Like, I think the last time I did one was for my 5,000 subscriber special, which now was about, 115,000 subs ago almost. So, I figured now would probably be a really good time to make another one. So, just a few days ago, I put up this post on YouTube asking you guys to give me some questions for this video, and you guys responded with 936 questions, so we better hop right into this. So, here we go. No, okay, just kidding. There's no way I'm covering all 936 questions. We'd all hate ourselves by the end of this video. But I did select 16 questions that I thought would be pretty good for this time around, so without any further ado, let's hop right into it. Question number 1, Dr. Appleboy. What happened to the slapnuts part of your name? Well, I'm actually glad you asked. This is a question that I've been wanting to address to my full YouTube audience for a while now. So, there were a couple reasons. Number 1, the joke just kind of got old. Like, this was a username that I had put together way back before I was ever doing YouTube. And, Big Joey Slapnuts was a really fun name to have as just somebody who games casually. It's not so much fun when you become like a bigger YouTuber and people ask you what you do for a living and then you have to tell them you do a YouTube and they follow it up with, oh, well, what's your channel? And you have to tell people that don't know you in public that your channel is Big Joey Slapnuts. It raises some eyebrows, to say the least. But another reason was because I thought that it was just kind of a good business move as well. If I am ever going to be getting sponsors in the future, which I still haven't taken any to this day, but if I ever was to get sponsors or start doing deals and things like that, I figured people probably don't want to put their name on somebody named Big Joey Slapnuts. At least it would be a little bit more risky. So, yeah. And lastly, the joke was just getting old. Like, slapnuts was a term that was used by, Jeff Jarrett way back in the day, and I didn't even remember, where I had pulled that from, but it was basically, a one-word insult. It was calling somebody slapnuts. And instead, it became everybody asking me, oh, Big Joey, do you slap nuts? For, 3 years. I mean, it was maybe funny, maybe the first week, but 3 years later, the joke was getting really old. So, that's, in entirety, pretty much why I dropped it. Question number 2 comes from Phantom Gamer. What is your second favorite class to play in TF2 besides the Heavy? I would definitely say Soldier. I used to main a lot of Soldier, and I think had I never stopped, I would probably be much more advanced with positioning and rocket jumping. To me, the ability to rocket jump all across the map and really catch people unexpectedly was a really fun aspect to the game, and you can kind of play that class really any way you want. You can play it offensively, you can play it defensively, whichever, so definitely Soldier. Question number 3 comes from Captain Bread. What's your highest kill streak you have ever gotten as Heavy, and what weapon did you use? Well, of course, the weapon that I used was a Tomislav, and the highest kill streak I think I ever got was on second round Dust Bowl. I believe I have a picture of it. If I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen. But I want to say it was around 49 as a kill streak. But I remember, some of them were on a melee, so it wasn't counted in the kill streak, and then some of them were, a dead ring or spy, so those got deducted. So it ended up being more maybe 45 in total, but yeah, that was my highest ever kill streak as Heavy. Question number 4. What minigun do you think needs a buff the most, and what minigun needs a nerf the most? I don't really think any minigun at this point needs a nerf. I think they're all pretty good at having their strengths and being pretty balanced out as far as that goes. But there are some that could use a buff, perhaps. I think if any minigun should get a buff right now, I think one that could afford it for sure would be the Huel Long Heater. I just don't think that it's necessary for them to have given the Huel Long Heater a damage nerf. I mean, it's already tricky enough to use that weapon considering you have the ammo draining while you're going. So I think they could buff the Huel Long Heater, and I think for pretty much everything else they could leave it as is. Question 5. I often struggle with gameplay variety when it comes to playing the Heavy weapons guy. How do you as a Heavy main mix things up and keep it interesting? I think this is a question that actually a lot of TF2 players face at first with Heavy. They kind of just see it as this point and shoot class, and then they kind of can't really figure out what else to do with it. But I think this class is actually, this class can be played pretty diverse. I know it's the meta to play this as a defensive class, but really I think one of the things that would make a really good Heavy over time is learning how to find that healthy balance between offensive and defensive. Also, positioning is incredibly important for Heavy. I think some people really overlook this, but considering you're a very slow class, you need to learn positioning as Heavy. And lastly, just switch up some of the weapons you use, from map to map, from point to point. There's obviously some weapons that'll perform better on certain maps and certain points than others. For instance, I preach the Tomislav up and down, but there are obviously parts of maps and different maps in general that benefit more from, say, a stock or even a brass beast. So think about kind of where you are in the map, such as, is it a more short and closed space that would maybe benefit more from using a stock, or is it farther away and it might benefit more from, say, a Tomislav or a brass beast? So for me, all of those things are kind of things you can think of while you're playing heavy. Question number 6, coming from Cosmic Trousers. As a heavy main, what makes you more angry? An extremely bad medic, a really good spy, or 3 fully turtled NGs in different spots? I would say that the 3 turtled NGs probably aren't even really that bad, because honestly, a lot of the times a full health heavy can take out a full-blown level 3 sentry by themselves. Granted, they aren't wrangled. But a really good spy, no, that's definitely a lot more infuriating. You have to constantly be on your toes and being paranoid, because otherwise a really good spy can pretty much take you out at any point of the map. But of all 3 options, it's kind of, it kind of sucks to say, but of all 3, probably the most infuriating would be an extremely bad medic. Medic is a very noble class to play. It's definitely necessary for the team, and, a lot of times, honestly, the team that has the medic versus the team that doesn't, the team that does is the one that's going to win the game. So, kudos to anybody willing to play medic. But a lot of the times as heavy, you are counting on your medic to know when to pull the Uber, or to at least listen when you say to pull the Uber, because otherwise it can really ruin a lot of crucial plays to the game. So of all 3 of those, I would have to say an extremely bad medic. But again, kudos to anybody willing to play medic. Question 7. What makes you enjoy your current cosmetic loadout, and do any of the cosmetics hold a specific significance to you? Yeah, I definitely currently enjoy my current loadout. For one, it means something to me that people now recognize that if you see this combination of cosmetics together, they typically mean something to a lot of people in the TF2 community. But just beyond that, the fact that, like my Tomislav has over 100,000 kills on it now, that I've been gifted 2 collector's items for, I've got a collector's sandwich, I've got a collector's gloves of running urgently, and then besides that this vivid plasma white Russian that I have was just gifted to me on stream, just casually just dropped on me on stream, and it is a one of one, and that just always blew my mind that someone just casually just dropped that on me without even saying much. And even my second type of heavy loadout, my Zeus loadout, that white Russian, the Sunbeams one, that was a dream unusual of mine for a long time, and somebody went out of their way to get that for me. So yeah, no, my cosmetic loadout definitely holds significance to me. And speaking of cosmetics, my next question is, what is your favorite unusual effect? And my answer would actually be Misty Skull or It's a Secret to Everybody. They're just already such cool unusual effects, and you rarely see them in game anymore, so when you do see them, they make them that much more cool to see. Question 9, what is the best personal experience you can remember that you've had with the TF2 community just in general? Well, that's kind of a difficult one to answer because I've had such a diversity of great experiences with the TF2 community. Obviously, anytime I come in game and people recognize me and tell me how much of a fan they are of my work, that's a great experience for me, and I really love that. That's actually helped me keep going with TF2 content in a way over time. But also just that I've gotten to meet a lot of great content creators and make friends pretty much over this span of me being a TF2 YouTuber. That has altogether made this a pretty cool experience for me. Question 10, Chris Yee, how is YouTube full-time going, and is it financially stable? YouTube full-time has been pretty fun for me, and yeah, it is pretty financially stable, actually. For me personally, it pays about as much as a full-time job right now, It could pay more, but obviously that will increase over time. The way it has worked for me personally is that it kind of started like my very first year with maybe just $200 to $300, and then like the next year it pushed past a couple thousand, and then now I'm kind of at the point where it's paying as much as a full-time job. But also on top of that, I do have other means of cash flow thanks to you guys. I have things such as Patreon, which thank you guys all for your help for that. I have Twitch, I have merchandise, and then I also invested a good bit into crypto, and that's been helping me over time as well. So yeah, no, but overall, YouTube for me right now is paying about as much as a full-time job. Question 11. What is your opinion on the SFM creators, and do you think you'd ever make any SFM videos? To put it short, no, I do not have interest in making SFM videos. I would much rather pay somebody that's incredibly talented at making SFM type skits than making one. The reason being is because SFM is incredibly infuriating. It takes so much patience and so much eye to detail. just to make even like a minute of a really good SFM just takes hours upon hours and so much practice. You have to know how to do really good lighting, you have to know how to do different camera angles, you have to know how to do posing and putting different things on certain characters. So kudos to pretty much any good SFM creator out there, whether you just make skits, movies, whether you're a lazy purple, they pretty much earn every single subscriber that they get. Question 12. If you could rework one weapon in the game, what would it be and why? I would rework the Vacinator, and I would rework it by taking the overheal off of the medic and only allowing it to be put on the patient. Right now, the Vacinator that stands in casual is just like the 2021 fun police. It is just not fun to play against for most any class, and I get that it can be avoidable in, say, like a comp setting with a competent team, but in casual, it just typically doesn't always play out like that. And so I wish that they would make it just a little bit more endurable for players in casual, if not take it out entirely, but right now we kind of need it for the bot situation, so we might want to come back to that a bit later. But now for the last 4 questions, we have kind of just a mixture of personal and funny questions. So starting with number 13, what's your workout routine and do you use any supplements or protein powders? For about the last decade, my workout routine has been Lane Norton's fat routine, which is pretty much a mixture of power workouts and hypertrophy or muscular size exercises. And as for supplement usage, I use caffeine, beta-alanine, and nitric oxide. I don't currently take any protein powders, I just eat. What's your motivation for continuing to lift and exercise? I would say my motivations to continue are to increase my strength, to increase my life longevity, hopefully, having more confidence, decreasing stress, which is proven by science since you're releasing endorphins, and also just to look and feel better so that I can game, but also by the end of the day, I'm not looking like literally the Virgin meme. Question 15. How many 5th grade kids do you think you could knock out before they get you? They come in groups of 5 at a time. Easily about 25. I think I could take out about 25 5th graders. They already come to about my waist level, and I just imagine they're so small that probably like just one punch would take them out at a time. And if you get a little bit tired from your upper body, you could just kind of do some knees or some good side kicks, maybe even like, you know, like punt one across the chest. But yeah, about a few minutes in, when my cardio really starts running dry, I imagine then it would get a little bit harder. So I would say about 25, and then maybe with some extra training, I could probably take about 40. And lastly, Heavy says it costs $12,000 to fire his minigun for 12 seconds. How much money do you think you've wasted? Well, considering the amount of hours I have in TF2, I won't give you the long of it, but had I been shooting the entire time, I would have spent about over $70.5 million. Anyways, that about wraps this video up. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. I probably won't be doing one of these again for a very long time, but if you guys ever want to talk to me, feel free to join my Discord, the House of Plagues, which I will link below in the comments. And until next time, you guys, this was Big Joey. Later.